As you guys know, as I've touched on in other videos, man, a lot of the gangs in the Midwest in general, and even some of the gangs in the South, originated in Chicago, and they've spread out. And in some of the other cities where they've gone, they have retained a lot more structure than they have here in the motherland of these gangs. In Chicago, a lot of the structure has fallen apart, except in prison. But in the other cities, from what the guys over there tell me, is that there's still some structure over there, even for the folks gangs, and which the folks, I mean, most of them are beefing over here now. GDs, I mean, they're beefing with each other left and right on the streets, man. So it's interesting to hear about that, though, what's going on in other cities. But anyways, this is coming from an area not too far from Chicago. This is from East St. Louis. We just wrapped up a 6-week trial, and some very interesting stuff came out in this trial, man. And a lot of stuff, too, that you guys have been seeing over the past couple of years as guys have been doing Freedom of Information Act requests. And a lot of this stuff is that a lot of the street rumors that were basically almost set in stone like 10 years ago about, who did what and this and that. A lot of the stuff that I was pushing, too, has turned out to be incorrect. And even some of the stuff that the guys themselves were pushing, the gang members, a lot of people were claiming stuff they didn't do. People were pointing the finger at guys that didn't do stuff, and these are guys in the streets, so it's just interesting how a lot of this stuff comes to light in the law. And this was a trial that brought a lot of stuff to light as far as the higher ups in the GD organization. I'm talking like the bosses were beefing with each other and killing each other in a power struggle. Now, a lot of times guys say that the structure stops a lot of the violence, but it goes both ways, because it also creates violence, because guys try to get that top spot and they take out the guy that's in there. And so you get a lot of in-house beef. And that's what we have a trial about here, is in-house beef, man, amongst the leaders of the GD. So they said a federal jury trial that spans 6 weeks ended on Monday with guilty convictions of 4 high-ranking gang leaders. Now, this is from about a month ago, though. So it was 4 high-ranking gang leaders for crimes that included a pair of killings and a power struggle, they said, for board member seats in the gang. So Larry Hoover, he structured the GDs like a corporation. He's described himself as a student of Al Capone, and he wanted to structure his gang in kind of a corporate manner. So they use a lot of these corporate names. But interestingly, I mean, Larry Hoover has completely left. I mean, he's dropped his flag, everything. He said he's not a GD anymore, nothing. So, these guys continue on, doing what landed him in prison for life. And now some of these guys are going away. So the trial spanned 23 days of testimony in East St. Louis, which is not that far from Chicago. It covered the hierarchy and inner workings of the GDs, they said. And this is being reported, by the way, by several media outlets, but this particular one is from a St. Louis media outlet, STL Today. Shout out to them. So it's interesting. They refer to the GDs also as a prison gang, although, as you guys know, it really started on the streets. But the Chicago-based gang, they said, was founded in the 60s, and it has a defined chain of command, including national leaders called board members and governors that lead each state's faction. Now, I don't know of anything like that in Chicago. I've never heard of a guy being like the leader here. Anybody who knows what's going on with them inside prison can, shout out in the comments. But I've never heard of any leader here that the younger guys on the streets take orders from. There may be a few hoods that do that, but the majority of these GDs hoods, I don't see them doing that. So after about 4 hours, they said, of deliberation, the jurors found Monday that struggles for the leadership roles led 4 gang members to plot 2 murders of gang members who opposed their regime, one in Bridgeton and another in Chicago. Interestingly, one of these things actually went down in the Chi. So evidence at trial showed 2 members from the Cape Girardeau area, a guy named Sean Clemon, who's 52, and he held the position of governor of Missouri, and a guy named Dominique Maxwell, who's 30. He was Missouri's assistant governor. And they shot a 37-year-old gang member named Leroy Allen, or one of them shot. I don't know if both of them did, but a 37-year-old gang member named Leroy Allen in Bridgeton's Matthews Park on April 28th of 2019. And 2 other people were also shot, but they survived. So prosecutors showed Clement and Maxwell carried out the shooting as part of a leadership dispute on the orders of a national gang board member named Frank Smith, who was 49. And he is from the suburb, or the town, of Naperville, Illinois, which is to the west of Chicago, about an hour's drive to the west. and he texted the order for the killing under a code, and that code was, quote, Mike Tyson Punch-Out. That's according to a statement from the U.S. Attorney's Office. So Clement and Maxwell were promoted within the gang after killing. So they, after they did that hit, they got promoted. So Clement, Maxwell, and Smith were all found guilty on Monday of murder and aid of racketeering, amongst other charges, and they face a mandatory life sentence in prison. So now they're going to end up in the same place where Larry Hoover ended up, and this is all over their own. This is within their own gang. This is not beefing with rivals. This is not beefing with anybody else. This is beefing with themselves. So, less than a month after the Bridgeton killing, prosecutors say that a guy named Anthony Dobbins of Troy, Illinois, and a guy named Warren Griffin carried out a second killing, and they killed a rival gang board member named Ernest Wilson, who was 65. His nickname was Don Smokey, and that murder happened in Chicago, and they did it allegedly because he opposed their status as board members. So they were trying to get on the board. He was in opposition to that, so he was killed. Okay, so this is all for power within the same gang. Dobbins was arrested in August in 2018 in his home, where authorities found heroin, crack cocaine, gang literature, and weapons. He pled guilty to racketeering conspiracy on January 17th, and he admitted that he shot Wilson 4 times. And he has not yet been sentenced in the case. Now, Griffin was convicted on Monday of murder and aid of racketeering in the Chicago killing. He faces a mandatory sentence of life in prison. And this is not like the state, okay? This is mandatory life. So prosecutors with the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Southern District of Illinois presented more than 360 pieces of evidence in the case. And that included extensive recordings of jail calls, text and phone conversations, and audio of gang meetings. So they had these guys bugged. They had their phones tapped. They were listening on everything that they were talking about. And they eventually got them on this, man. So another case of in-house beef, taking down pretty much everybody that was involved in the in-house beef. No rivals, no nothing, man. This is just all within the same gang. And what's crazy, I told you guys again and again, and it's not just me telling people this. I mean, the young guys coming up today, the older guys been telling them this. The guys that get out of prison, the guys that have seen guys get stabbed in the back by their own homies, they tell them again and again. They say there's no love in the streets. All the love you get in the streets is fake. It's fake love. And these guys, he's my brother. These guys are my brothers. We're a family. No. It's in situations like this where that all gets exposed. See, so guys keep falling for it though, man. And it's sad to see young guys, making the same mistakes that have been made time and time again, and not learning from the older guys. But I know a few guys though who see this, what's going on with some of the older guys and how they're betraying each other, killing each other, stabbing each other in the back, and how that turns them off to it. But anyways, as far as the election, man, hopefully I'll have an update for you guys tomorrow. It'll be all over the mainstream media anyways about who won. But like I said, we may not know for several days because it is very, very close, neck and neck. And so whoever wins, it's a very divisive situation. But whoever wins, man, hopefully Chicago can come together and work together. But there's obviously a lot of challenges ahead, man. That I don't think any one guy can fix. Your boy Winnie C. Report. I'm out.